Hey guys, this is Wes and welcome to your 11th Java tutorial. Today we're going to go over, or I was going to go over nested if statements, and I probably will go over that in the next tutorial, but instead I'm going to show you something a little different. If you've been messing around with the scanner class at all and the variable or the methods within that class, such as passing an argument into a variable, if you've realized that if you give it Java something that it doesn't expect, such as passing an integer into a variable that was expecting a string, your program will crash. And a way to stop that from happening is there's a method inside the scanner class that it returns true, which is a Boolean value, if the next thing the user enters is in fact the data type that we were calling. So I'm going to type along as I type. We're actually going to use an if-else statement, and I will explain thoroughly afterwards. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an if statement, then we're going to pass it the variable or the method within the scanner class, and Wes is the object of that scanner class. So what we're going to do is Wes has next integer, and you can also type in has next double, which would do the same thing. It would return true if the user typed in a double. Has next byte, has next Boolean, and so on. So we're going to create those brackets, and then we are going to create a variable of the integer age is equal to Wes dot next int. And if you've been watching the previous tutorials at all, you will know that Wes is the object of the scanner class. NextInt is a method that accepts user input in the form of an integer, and we are now assigning it into the variable age. And that will only happen if has next int is true, which has next int is just checking to see if we are typing in an integer. So you guessed it, system.out.println. Since we need to display it, it will not display it without us telling us to do so. Java will not do anything that you don't tell it to do. So you entered the integer space so we don't cluster it plus age. So we are going to say file, save, run. How old are you? We are going to say 22. You entered the integer 22. Now since it doesn't have an else, I will show you what happens if we type in something other than an integer. Let's type in 20. It doesn't return anything because this was not true. This method was not true. So it didn't execute anything within these if brackets right here. And if we wanted to, we could, as we learned, do an else statement. Else system.out.println. Enter an integer next time, buddy. So if we run this, file, save, run. How old are you? Say 20, like last time. Enter an integer next time, buddy. So the way this works is we created an object named Wes of the scanner class, passed the system.in arguments into it. And I know we've gone over this 1,000 times, but I'm sure there will be people that come into this video without watching previous tutorials and then be in complete confusion. So in order to mitigate that just at least a little, we're going to go over some of the things we go over, and repetition is always great when it comes to learning. So we prompted the user for their age, how old are you? If Wes.hasNextInt, and since this is referring to the scanner class And this is a method within the scanner class that all it does is it returns true if the next thing the user enters is an integer. And since the way the if statement works is if parameters is true, execute the code within these brackets. So if we do in fact enter an integer, it then passes it to this method right here, which is we've all done. It just accepts input in the form of an integer, and since we are now assigning it into the variable age, that's what it's doing. And then we're just printing it out on the screen. You entered the integer plus age. If it does not do that, it checks. This returns false. Say we entered a string, and then goes to else. We could do else if statements, but I mean, like, why even? So yeah, so that's going to be a quick tutorial over how to prevent your program from crashing in the case that you enter something unexpected into the scanner system in classes. So hope that cleared a little bit up. I thought it was pretty cool. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. See ya.